Hey everyone, in this video I will be explaining how to use the updated Gavril T-Series 10-speed transmission and the engine brake. First of all, I would like to mention that the audio and video quality isn't the greatest because I'm using a different setup than usual. They can't handle this and blah blah blah. Either way, Beam did make a couple videos on the new update, and they explained how to use the trailers and stuff, but I don't believe they showed how to properly shift the transmission or use the engine brake. So, jumping into the truck, I noticed that at first I didn't realize how detailed it was, and I noticed, like everyone else may have, that it only goes up to 5, even though it's supposed to be a 10-speed. That is because, as it says in the parts selector, it is a dual shift, or a twin stick. As you can see on the floor, there are 2 shift levers. One is for the normal gears, and then the other one is for a range box, high and low. So I will get the truck started and explain a little bit more. So, as you're driving around with no load, bobtail I believe it's called, it is perfectly fine to leave it in high gear and only use the normal 5 gears. However, if you leave it in high, you will have less torque and it'll be harder to get a heavy load to start going. If you only use low gear, you'll have the torque you need, but you won't have your top speed, or like highway speeds. So, the proper way to shift this, I'll show in a moment once I get this hooked up. As you can see, without the trailers or anything, I started off in too high. No problem at all. So let's get the trailer hooked up. Okay, now that the trailer is hooked up, we are towing 44,600 pounds of milk, I believe it is. Pretty heavy. And if we leave it in high, it's not really happy. So, since we are on a normal flat asphalt surface, we don't really need to worry about the differentials. Not sure what the center one does in this specific setup, but the other 2 differential locks are, of course, to lock the rear wheels. If you're on dirt or an uneven surface, you're going uphill in the rain, you might want those if your wheels are just spinning. But, like I mentioned, the proper way to shift 10 speed is to start in low and 1. That is 1 low. And then when we shift up to second, or before we shift up to second, we're going to shift into high, so 1 high. And then as we shift into second, we're going to go back down to low and second at the same time. So 2 low, and then we're going to go to 2 high, and so on and so forth. So I will show this and kind of explain what I'm doing along the way. As you can see, a little bit better off the line. Shift into high, then 2 low, 2 high, 3 low, and oops, I always end up messing up at some point, but then 3 high, and then to shift down we go back to 3 low, and then 2 high, 2 low, 1 high, and then 1 low again. It's a 10, technically it's a 5-speed, but because of the range box, we're cutting the gears kind of in half. It's not exactly half because of the ratios, but you can think of it as cutting each gear in half. So I will show an interior view of shifting, and then we will get on to the engine brake. So again, 1 low. At least I think that's low. Yep. And that should be first, yep. Okay, so 1 low off the line, and then 1 high, and then 2 low, and 2 high. If we were in an 18 speed, for example, we would end up having 3 sticks, because the third one would be a splitter, cutting each gear even more. But we only have 2, so we don't have to worry about that. And then back down to 3 low, and then 2 high, 2 low, 1 high, and 1 low. So that's the basic shifting. Now, the engine brake, if we look over here, there's these 2 toggle switches. My graphics are set to as low as possible, so the detail isn't the greatest. We can't even read the sticker. Oh, I don't know. Oh, the entire truck's moving backwards, that's why. But, oops, wrong button again. Come on. There we go. So as I mentioned, my graphics are too low to really read it, but this is the engine brake, or compression brake. If we toggle this one, you can see compression brake 100%, and this one on this side should adjust, yeah, 6600. That one adjusts how much braking there is. So what that does is it, I believe, keeps the valve, the exhaust valve, either open or closed or something. I don't remember exactly what it does, but it does something with the valves to use the engine compression or the piston compression to slow the vehicle down. Jake brake, engine brake, whatever you want to call it. So let's get back up to speed. Oops, I want to turn it off. And that's what it sounds like. It sounds kind of cool. Really loud in this. It doesn't sound the greatest in this. But when a transport truck is slowing down and you hear that, that's what that is it's the engine brake. So, if you have a really, really heavy load, or you're going downhill and you want to reduce the load on the brakes, what you'll do is use the engine brake. So as I said, we'll get back up to speed. I'm going to shift kind of wrong here just to get up to speed a little faster. It does not like me shifting that way. And then once I'm, say, into 4 high, we will enable the engine brake, and I'll show what happens. Or I guess I can show it in 4 low. So, now that we're going at a decent speed, if I let off the throttle, you'll see it just kind of gently coasts along. Of course we're going to slow down because there is a little bit of engine braking. We're probably on a little bit of an incline, and it just simply won't coast forever. We'll get back up to speed a little bit, turn on compression brake, and then you'll notice when I let off the throttle this time, we'll slow down much faster. Or at least we should. Like so. And then I'll shift down into 3 high. I believe the higher your RPM is, the faster you'll slow down. But that's what that is. The engine brake just uses the compression to slow everything down, along with the brakes. So yeah, I hope that this has been at least somewhat helpful if you've been having a little bit of issues or was slightly confused as I was at first before I realized. And I'm quite happy that they've gone into the amount of detail with this that they have. Oops. I almost shut the engine off. So yeah. Again, shifting with the engine brake will slow us down much faster. And then I stop. So yeah, that is how to shift the new updated Gavril T-Series 10-speed and use the engine brake. Hope you enjoyed, and thanks for watching.